All right, hello folks, welcome back to my channel. I seem to always start my videos that way, but another subject on my video channel, it's with my Tegus, of course. I love my Tegus and my snakes that I own, so this is going to be about that. But here I am at the back of my car. I found something today going to the hardware store that I have not been able to find before, and this is a big topic of Tegu people, newer Tegu people, and maybe even some advanced, more, a couple of years under their belt with their Tegus. It has to do with substrate. So let's dive into this now. All right, so here we go. I went to the store and I saw this that I could use as substrate. And let me tell you about more what it is real quick. It is 100% sphagnum peat moss, and I have not been able for 2 years to find this, or if someone had it, I just didn't see it. This is, you don't want to get anything that has any chemicals in it, any new fertilizers, little small tablets, little BB sized things that have ingredients that could be harmful to your reptile. This looks like this just says ingredients, sphagnum moss. And sphagnum moss is going to be, it's chopped up really well, so it's really fine. It's not sand-like fine, but it is more of a suitable dirt-like substance. But this is going to hold moisture phenomenally well for snakes and for lizards, and they could eat some of this if they did. It's not going to be toxic for them or really cause them any trouble. Hopefully that you don't spoon feed this to your snakes or your lizards. But and let me just tell you, these things weigh about 50 pounds. I mean, I'm a 50-year-old adult and a male, and not in terrible shape, but not in the best shape. But I struggle picking these up, so I'm not going to show you that, maybe. But I'll get them out, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to put them in. They are huge amounts of substrate that you could use or plant in your gardens. I mean, I have to look and see. I mean, it is condensed and compressed down, so when we dump this out, it's gonna fill up. I could probably fill up half of this garage with these two. But they were $18.95 per container or per bag, reasonable. But I'm gonna take them inside. And we're gonna look more at this topic. I cleaned them off a little bit before I stuck them in my wonderful, beautiful car, just because I don't want to track a bunch of this stuff in there. But God, it's freaking so heavy. Oh. All right, so on the container it says 3 cubic feet compressed. I swear those bags weigh probably really close to 50 pounds, if not maybe more. I don't know, they're heavy. But that's good because you get a lot of it. So here we go. All right, well, here I am in the house. It takes a little bit of work to set up everything, and my camera is positioned up in the corner, up in the very far corner, and pointed down so I have a wide view. But let me share what the point of the video is, and let me just go ahead and say I don't make a bunch of money or much money from my videos. I can barely feed my dog per month with what I make on YouTube. So these videos are not meant to popularize myself or make myself more money. That's not my goal. My goal is to ultimately help my reptiles to grow and to benefit and grow older and be prettier and love life as much as they can, being in captivity. So that's why I want to share with other people, because I'm passionate about my reptiles. I love my reptiles. My Tegus are in brumation, and my snake is not out in the room because I have it in a smaller room where I can control the temperature better. So we're not going to really see any reptiles. But here's, again, what I talked about before is this, you can see the name now, Premier Sphagnum Peat Moss. And that's probably Spanish or something. But for growing organic plants. And on the back, the ingredients shows it's just sphagnum moss. Sphagnum moss is completely safe for reptiles. Also too, while I got a lot to tell you about when I was in Tallahassee for work, and I have my own schedule, my own ability to work when I want and do other things and go eat and tool around when I want, as long as I get my work done. If you ever go to Tallahassee, you will see that this is called Spanish moss. That's sphagnum moss. This is Spanish moss, and I Googled it to make sure it was safe for reptiles. And reptiles actually make their home. This is a plant, an organic plant. It's a live plant until if you put it in the oven and cook it, at 140 degrees for a couple hours to kill any bacteria or anything in it. I don't know if you need to do that. I did do that, but that likely kills the plant. It's a airborne plant that gets moisture from the rain, but it says birds use this and reptiles live in it and use it for camouflage and for housing, and birds use it for nests. So it's completely safe. I mean, you wouldn't want to spoon feed it, like I said, to your reptiles, in abundance to eat that, but they can live in this, and this holds moisture really, really well. I bought home a bag of it through TSA and through the airport, a garbage bag, not a giant black garbage bag, but a white bag that was about that big, and I actually had to carry it over my shoulder, and I ran it through the radar, and no one said anything as long as there wasn't an animal hidden in there. So I brought a lot of that home, so I didn't have to pay for it, and it was natural. So Spanish moss and sphagnum moss, you can either put that in their cage, pull it out in strips and put it in their cage as decoration, or the Spanish moss, or you can cut it up into little smaller fine pieces and let it just kind of get in the dirt. Either way, it's going to increase the moisture holding ability of your substrate. So your reptile, depending on which reptile and where it comes from, may like to sit on it or use it as, a pillow. Mine sit on them as pillows, but you just use it for however you see fit. You can buy that at the grocery, not grocery store, but some stores sell Spanish moss, and they called it that because when whoever settled in Florida, the Spanish, the Spanish, they had long white beards, a lot of them, and so they call that Spanish moss or Spanish beard because it looks like the gray beards of the people that first settled in Florida. Pretty interesting stuff, but enough about that. So I've got that in there, but we're going to open this up in a little bit. I'm just going to show you, but I also want to tell you a lot about my experience with dirt, because I actually, for some reason, I love dirt, and especially when I got these reptiles, that's when I became interested in dirt. I wasn't really interested in dirt before that, but the different types of dirt. So let me move this over here. Oh my Lord! Whew! Gosh. About 8 by 4. It's a little bigger than that because of the borders and how I built it. But I have videos on how I built this. This is a pin. I kind of like the idea of being able to walk, all the way around it and reach in there and decorate it, or get my reptiles out or watch them have, instead of, doors in the front and a top, this is a lot more open. The downside of that is if you don't build it tall enough, then your snakes and your lizards can get out. When I had more pieces in here, I have everything out basically because the Tegus aren't in here, and I have it all. I cleaned everything and put it over there along the wall, along the Yamaha banner, and so it's kind of empty. But I have put so much different dirt in here. I've gone shopping, nature shopping, and gone to different wooded areas and even different states when I travel and I'm in my car and I'll carry a bucket with me, a 5-gallon bucket, and I see really good dirt. I'm like, I'm getting some of that dirt. And so this is like a passion of mine because of how much effort I put into this dirt. I've got inside this pin, like I told you, and I skipped the thought, was that every once in a while, Mac, my bigger Tegu, could actually climb out, and he would climb out and he'd sit on top of the lights. They just found it a lot of fun exerting energy using my lights as trapezes. They just constantly thought that, you know, they were tree limbs, or, you know, the bright light looking at them, it just inspired them to jump up. So they damaged and scratched and tore up a lot of my stuff. But so that's the negative of not having a top. But I can always add a screen top, and I've got in my head what I can possibly do. But enough about the cage. So this is a huge 8x4, 8x5 pin, and I've got at least a couple 100 pounds of dirt in it already, and it consists of clay, light dirt, dark dirt, all kinds of different dirts, and I'm drawing a blank right now. But I also put cocoa husk in here. I bought a big container, like almost about that size, that was compressed coconut husk, but the coconut husk came in bigger chunks, and it typically comes like that. And so it's important. That's really good substrate, but your snake or your tegu could easily digest some of those blocks, some of the larger chipped portions, and they're not going to be able to poop that out. Their system is not going to be able to break that down. So I recommend with a coconut husk, and I have a video on this too. I have a video on everything, but when I didn't want to get rid of that stuff, and I didn't know a way of breaking it up, and I dreamt for a year how to do it, to get it into smaller pieces. And I bought a cheap blender and blendered all this stuff, ground it up. And so I've put that in here too, at least 10 pounds of it. And I've got so many different types of dirt in here, so it's really, really good. I got sand. There's another one. I've got some sand. I've bought a lot of different mulches. You want to stay away from pine because of the cedar. You want to stay away from cedar because of that tar that when you put it in the fireplace, it pops. You know, pop, 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 pop. You don't want to have that type of wood chunks in there. Cypress mulch is good. Certain trees are good, but not pine or cedar because of that sap, that tarry-like sap. So, but mixing that in here with this and the different dirts that I have is going to be amazing. And I will have to, you know, if I move, and, you know, in 6 months, I'll have to move all this dirt. I'll have to buy containers and container after container after container, because I want to save this dirt. This dirt's going to live with me, you know, until, you know, I'm gone and the tegus are gone. I'm very particular about how I see things visually, and you could do, for some snakes and some reptiles, you could go out with a garbage bag and collect a bunch of leaves, fallen leaves in the fall, a lot of foliage that's on the ground, leaf litter, and you could put dirt and you could fill up your cage with leaf litter, and then your snake or your reptiles, if they like that as camouflage, it makes them feel more comfortable, they can get under that. But that would drive me nuts, seeing that litter like that. So I just like a really clean cage, presentable, not too much decorations, but some decorations to make them feel at home, some rocks, just some things that don't make it hard to get your reptile out when you want to go to inspect them, play with them, you know, those types of things. I don't want to have to wrestle the inside of the cage with a snake, you know, on reaching with his tail on all the limbs and having to battle pulling them out. My Nicaraguan boa, if I had it full of limbs, would just be a nightmare to get out to play with, say hi, you know, inspect him, have a good time with him. But so once you have all this substrate down with the peat moss and the cocoa husk, I highly recommend this, and I've said this in different videos. I bought this from Home Depot. I bought this from Home Depot. This was in the very, very, very far corner of the store, and I just happened to go over there and see that. And I was like, sphagnum moss, holy cow, that's awesome. And so I went and bought 2 of them, and you can also buy this at Home Depot. This is a pump sprayer. I don't have a mister. I don't do that type of stuff. It's just easier for me to do this every day when my tegus are up. This is probably a half a gallon, and you just pump it and you just spray until the pressure's gone. And you do have to maintain this. You can't just use this for months and months and months and months and not maintain and lube the portion of it in the inside. But this bottle is amazing. I love this spray bottle, and it holds a lot of water to moisten up your cage for humidity. But there's this piece in here, and you have to take that out and lube the little piece, the little piston that moves up and down, I just use olive oil. You don't want to use anything that's toxic, oil-based, actual oil-based in there that pollutes the water. So olive oil, that's not damaging to reptiles, and it's a substance that is very, very slippery. But pump that up. I mean, you have to pump it every once in a while, but then you can spray, and you can control the spray with the nozzle right there, really wide fan pattern or a stream all the way to that extreme. But this is the bottle, it's HDX, like $13. But enough of that. So let's open up this big container. As you can see, when it's not moist, this has gone, this is probably 3 inches worth of dirt in here. It is hardened up underneath the top soil, so they could have a little, more of a struggle to dig down, but it's not at this point, 6 inches or 7 inches worth of substrate. But the coconut, chopped up, minced up coconut husk, lots of different dirt, sand, and some other bagged products that I found that I felt was safe to put in here and not damaging to the reptile's skin or if they digest it. And I meticulously picked out a lot of the rocks and a lot of the things that I didn't like in here. So this is a really good combination, what I have in here right now, but the peat moss, when it's moistened, is going to be amazing. And it's probably going to add another 2 inches to the entirety of the enclosure here, depth-wise. So this is a reptile Zoomed heat, what they call a habitat heater. It's a warming pad, and a lot of people will talk negative about heat rocks and stuff, and then back in the early 80s I had a hot rock and it got really pretty hot. This does not get above maybe 107, 108, but it hovers more around 100 to 103. So it has safety circuitry that will shut it off if something malfunctions, and this just, if this tried to jump up to 120 or 130 degrees, it just is not going to damage or be harmful to your reptiles. And it's very, very durable. So very, very cool. I'm going to use this. It's going to be new for when they come out of brumation for 2023. And hopefully they'll really sit on that, and I can use less expensive lights that really draw the power. That's not that's a metal hydride UVB, UVA light, but it doesn't put out a lot of heat. But it'll give them, they'll think that that's more natural light, and it does put out UVB. How much? Now I don't know. It puts out UVB, but unless I had a meter to read how much UVB puts out, I'm just leaving it that as a questionable amount. But let's open this up. Oh, it's going to get dusty in here, that's for sure. So this is really finely ground up peat moss. It's going to be, simply mind-blowing that I was actually found this, stumbled upon it. But you're going to have to break it up because it's compressed. And this is going to hold moisture really, really well. It's all organic. Can't ask for anything better. And $19 is not terrible. If I was filling up terrariums with this, I could fill up probably 50 terrariums. And so gonna be really, really good. And I got two bags. All right, this is going to show you how much dirt, how much sphagnum moss was in that. You can just have a little bucket with you because there is some, little tree limbs and some little roots and some vegetation from plants you may not want in there. But perfectly fine for the tegus. Spread this out. Break up all the the lumps, but I'm sure the Tegus would do that when they got up. Substrate is key, man. Reptiles need a lot of dirt and moisture and entertainment for digging. So then I'm gonna, when I get down, and I'm gonna get down to my previous dirt that I have in here, and the cocoa husk, and really mix this up. And the negative is that we're indoors in a room, and I'll be cleaning for weeks dust. But getting down to the initial dirt that was in here, and mixing this around. All right, this is what I needed. Woo! Man, it got dusty in this room, and that's unfortunate that it's inside, because it gets dust everywhere. But this is going to be mind-blowing for me to put my Tegus in here when they wake up, probably within the next month. But I'm going to show you real close. It looks great. I mixed it in really, really well. There's like 10 types of dirt in this 8x10 pen is what I call it. Not an enclosure or full enclosure until you put a top on it. But whew, my nose is running. But most of the part, my female can just stay in here because I don't think she can get out as easily. But if the male really, really wants out of here, he can stand up on his tail and get his claws right up at the top of the border and pick himself out. But it's not an easy task for him. But let me show you real quick the finished product. All right, look at it. That's nice, dark, earthy, great, soft, very soft dirt. Let's just take a zoom in and look at that. It's going to be just perfect. And now it's about, I would say, a good 6 inches, 7 inches in some parts. And I will put even probably more, half or 3/4 of that rest of that bag in here. And that would raise it up another 2 or 3 inches. And then put that in some of my Nicaraguan boa enclosure to give him a little bit more dirt to burrow into. And I've got a new one coming, a new addition to the Brian family, Getting Through Life channel. And I'd be excited to show you that in the next couple of days when I get him in and get him established. But looks great, fantastic. That's a big cage. But that's everything. I just wanted to bring this video to people, and hopefully this will help you to kind of establish what you want to do as far as substrate. You know, deeper the better. And definitely you need, people need hides, and Tegus, especially young ones, are going to need a place that they can go into and be kind of cut off, you know, like a little small hole big enough for them to get into to a hide, not just a big gaping, you know, wide open entrance like, you know, like a tent. That's not protective enough. They got to get in somewhere where it's dark and enclosed. You know, I see these little, you know, wood chip bark tunnels, you know, that are wide open on both ends, you know, and they just think that the Tegu's not going to be necessarily comfortable in there. You need a box with a, you know, a little small entrance that they can go in and like burrowing and get into. I think that's better than having them burrow into the dirt. And to feel comfortable, you know, they need a home. They need a little place they can call their own. And when your Tegu is more comfortable, the Tegu is going to be more comfortable with you. You got a scared Tegu on your hands, you're going to have a handful. So you want to do everything you can to make them feel comfortable and be comfortable with you. And then when they're comfortable with you, they'll totally relax, and they'll become a much better animal. All right, but that's everything. Thanks for viewing. Check out more videos. I'm always going to be doing videos of Tegus and snakes, and as it gets warmer, I'll be able to handle them more and have them out and just make more videos. It's just fun. It's all about fun. But give me a thumbs up if you like the content, found it helpful, and check me out on future videos. All right, my name is Brian, and I will check you out on that next video. Bye-bye.